the most current topic is the doping, right?
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh man, he's taking steroids." Yes, I am taking steroids. I am 40 years old. I'm about to be 41. I am on TRT for the last 5 years of my life. I actually posted about it a couple months ago, like 3 months ago. Like I have no shame in this. And when I did the 80, the Worlds tournament, they were like, "Hey, the finalists will have whoever wins first place will have to test." That
IBJJF. Right.
IBJJF. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not testing. I'm like, I'm on testosterone. Like I take testosterone. I'm gonna clearly, I'm gonna clearly fail the test, right? I'm not taking the test. So what I did is I didn't show up to pick up the medal because I felt, you know, it's not fair for me to go on that podium, grab the first place medal, even though I know I had already won, right? I had already won. I'm not gonna grab the first place medal and go home and say, hey, I won the world championships, even though I knew the rules said I couldn't do that. But people are like, oh, you should have known before you went. And I didn't know. That's the truth. I didn't know. I went to the tournament. I didn't even fill out the waiver. I asked my daughter to sign me, her brother, and her up. I said, sign us all up for the tournament. We're gonna go to California and compete. Pay the registration fee. She filled out the forms. I didn't even know. I showed up to the tournament. I'm competing. 3 matches in. I'm 4 matches into the finals now. They're like, oh, you're gonna have to test if you win. And I'm like, okay, I already knew I was going to win because the other finalist was a teammate of mine who said he wasn't going to compete against me because he already knew that no matter if even if we competed, I was going to win. He's like, "Hey, no, we're teammates. You can take first place." I said, "Fine, no problem, thank you."
Right.
Um, and then they came at me with this, and I said, "Oh, so if that's the case, I don't want the medal. I could have gotten the medal. I could have went up there, got the medal, said no to the test anyways, and still had this whole ordeal happen." I said no. I walked away. And then they had the audacity to come to my house and say, "Hey, we're going to test you. You went to this competition." I said, "No, I'm not testing. I already told you guys there that I'm not testing. If this is not clear to you, that I'm telling you right now that I take
Yeah.
steroids. I'm on testosterone replacement. I know this is against the USADA rules because I work with UFC athletes. I know what the rules are. For you to test me for a sport that is amateur to me because it's an amateur sport, right? I'm paying
Right.
to compete. I pay to show up. I pay for my hotel. I pay for my training. Like there was none part of it that this I'm making any money out of this. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. And that is that is a topic right now that's really hot and people are upset about it and they're like, oh, he's a cheater. Cheater of what? Like they only test first place. What about all the other places? What about everybody that shows up to this event? How about we talk about it like this? How about we test everybody, and then we'll see what's left from there. And that will change the sport. If you're looking to change the sport, why test one person? That doesn't make any sense. So
What do you think the sport needs? Because so as I'll I'll say my piece here, which is growing up and idolizing athletes my whole life. One thing that stuck out to me that was devastating was when Lance Armstrong finally got caught for doping, right? And for me, as
finally got caught. You mean right? Like because
yeah, that's what right. Like he's
you know
doing
how
it
many other you know how many
every
other
right.
cyclists.
That's my point. He's doing it. Everyone's doing it. But as a young athlete, right, as me, someone looking up to the greatest blank in the world, right, that happened to be the greatest cyclist, but there were other people in my field that I was competing in that I looked up to. It was devastating as a young athlete to see not that he was doing that, but and this is I'm talking about his case, not you at all. I'm just talking about him. It was that he had lied about it for so long, and then how intricate it actually was. Now, jiu-jitsu athletes in their 40 competing in an insanely dominant and demanding sport that are taking testosterone or hormone replacement therapy feels different to me than uh, what happened with like Lance Armstrong. But it painted this picture of the doping athlete, right? Then you had this happen in baseball and steroid use. And to be fair, and I think that this is where it almost starts to create a reshaping of this image, is transparency. Like you just saying that and hearing it is like, that's kind of all you want as a fan, is to be able to better make expectations for yourself in the sport and understand how things are working based on what the best people in the world are doing. And as someone who's done strength and conditioning my entire life, it's no fucking surprise to me. It makes total sense. You guys are putting yourselves through the most rigorous and demanding sport constantly for, again, basically no return. How is your body supposed to recover? And my
Yeah, that's
question is it even possible to have your output without the assistance of performance? Like, that's actually an honest question. Is it possible to maintain that kind of output that jiu-jitsu demands on the top competitors without performance enhancing drugs?
I believe it can be done. I think there is athletes doing it.
Mhm.
I don't think there's a lot of them, but I do think there is some of them. I hear people who are online talking about they're not and this, that, the other. I don't know who is and who isn't. I can't tell you that.
Mhm.
You can't tell that by looking at someone. But I guarantee you there is somebody out there that is clean, that is doing it. But do I think it makes for a better athlete? No, I don't. I think it doesn't. I think you should allow um, all these athletes who are at that level doing, I think, in every sport. And I'm just saying in jiu-jitsu, I'm talking basketball, football, fighting. I think allow people to have a certain level of regulation to their body so that they can perform, so that they can recover, so that they can live longer, so that they can be healthier, so that they can recover from injuries faster. Like, dude, you are risking your body. You are playing with fire. You know what I mean? Like in jiu-jitsu, we're playing with fire. Like you see people breaking their necks. Like we are literally putting our hand above fire and removing it every time we're in a submission. You know, um, it's dangerous. And like you talk about Lance Armstrong, like yeah, maybe what he did was wrong, but look at what he knew he was doing was wrong. That's why there was so much secrecy behind it, right?
Mhm.
And he was making a fortune for it. Do you really
Right.
think he lost? You think he lost his fortune because of his decisions? Let's just say. I don't
Right.
think he lost his fortune. I think he's still very wealthy. He's somewhere doing very well for himself. I think he lost a lot of money because of it, right? Because he got caught. But he knew when he was doing it that it was wrong. He knew that it was against the rules, right?
Mhm.
And he was in a sport where he had to follow the rules and he was getting paid to be in the rules. Now that's a different story. Like if you look at like even the UFC, right? The athletes that are there, they're getting paid a pretty substantial amount of money. If they break the
Fuckload more than
rule,
a IBJJF competitor.
yeah, if they break the rule and they don't follow the procedures of the rules, it's fair for them to be, you know, maybe held out of sports for a year and lose a part of their purse. And yeah, I get it. That's the rule of the sport. But I don't honestly think I think it's detrimental. I think every athlete should have, most athletes, and they should implement a rule that an athlete has a level that they need to maintain through through certain doctors, and they need to abide to that, so that they can have a longer, healthier life in the sport that they play.